here. Welcome back to TD Garden. It's been a minute since KG night, and the Celtics haven't lost since. In fact, that's still as March comes to a close here. The only loss of the month. Celtics now winners of 10 of their last 11 after a 125-97 thumping of the Jazz. Celtics led by as many as 30, 26 each for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They continue to play off each other, match each other's offensive outputs, with Marcus Smart right in the middle as the connector, the glue, the point guard of this team with a career-high 13 assists. Put 9 out there in the first quarter, 10 in the first 13 minutes of this game. And he was spreading the ball around like he's been since that Washington game where he told the team he loved them. Celtics started to embrace him as a point guard there, and that's my big thing out of this one is the control, the command that Marcus Smart has over the game here. Quinn Snyder, pregame, talking about how unique of a player Marcus Smart is, specifically for the things he does on the defensive end of the set ball, and everyone's talking about that right now, the possibility of him being a Defensive Player of the Year contender if voters open their mind to a guard being in that spot. And contrast Smart's defensive impact in this one against Rudy Gobert's with 0 blocks. Celtics effectively from shoot-around today talking about the need for dump-off passes and kickouts and the different reads that you're going to have to make against a shot blocker like Gobert inside. And feels like a while ago that was a concern for Jason Tatum in this offense. Tatum hits his first 4 threes, comes out firing. Celtics hit their first 10 shots as this offense keeps racing, building 20-point leads in each of these last 5 wins here. They did it quickly in this one, but it wasn't that offensive surge. Jazz hung with them through that first quarter. It was the second quarter where the Celtics clamped up on defense, started to limit the amount of possessions where Utah could score, taking those on transition and scoring themselves the other way. Jazz shoot 33% in that second quarter. Celtics go on a massive run, build that double-digit lead, and it felt a lot like that Denver game on Sunday where the Celtics completely trounced the Nuggets in that second quarter, and Michael Malone was furious, put his starters on the bench. No such move from Quinn Snyder here, but he was very upset with the way they played on both ends of the floor. And this is a team that's been top 5 on offense, top 10 on defense for much of this season. This is another formidable foe that the Celtics just embarrassed at times in this one. And we talk about Smart's impact on the offense, we'll get back to that, but the intimidation factor that this Celtics defense is starting to establish against opponents. There were 2 moments that stuck out to me. A string of plays around the rim from Robert Williams blocking Eric Pascal, almost all the way to Mike Gorman at midcourt there. Giving a little bit of one of these. Flex, a little yell, and getting more excited and intimidating than I've seen Rob in a spot like that in all of his career. And then you go next play, blocking Royce O'Neal, I believe it was, knocking him to the floor. A hard foul on O'Neal, actually it was. The block was on Donovan Mitchell, knocking him on the floor. A couple hard fouls on Clarkson and O'Neal after that, chasing a loose ball. Some real physical, imposing moments from Robert Williams III, who's been an impact player around the rim this year defensively, a guy that can really alter shots, knock shots away. Another guy who will be in that Defensive Player of the Year conversation. In this game, Celtics embarrassed the Jazz at times. Rob looked intimidating at times around the rim. And Tice had the more flashy moment, getting up and blocking a Jordan Clarkson dunk. And you saw Clarkson and Hassan Whiteside, who was on the floor, just slumped their shoulders, didn't even get back on defense. And that's what the Celtics are doing to teams. Really good teams right now. They're demoralizing. And it looks tiring, exhausting, and humiliating to play the Celtics right now with the possessions and the consistency that they're stringing quarter over quarter. Celtics win every quarter in this one. And they're really starting to establish themselves. Not only as a team that beats opponents by a lot, they are humiliating opponents on the way there. And you're seeing these moments. A lot of body language stuff, a lot of stuff I like to pick up from that angle to see how a team's looking like. The opposite of what they looked like early this year. It's very encouraging what they're doing, and they've made a rapid ascent too within a game and a half of the 1 seed. Here was Jaylen Brown reacting to the Celtics being within shouting distance of the 1 seed in the East right now. I think a reaction a lot of us had.
It's crazy, right? Not really. I feel like, all of this was prime, very, very prime for us. We just had to, like I said, put 4 stretches together and stuff like that. I knew the energy was about to shift. So I'm happy that we're here now. But it's crazy to even, to know that we're a game and a half, as many games as we blew in the, in the first half of the season. It'd be nice to have not, you know, if not, it'd have been nice to have won some of those games because maybe we would be in first right now. But everything happens for a reason. So, we take it one game at a time and we see where we're at come playoff time.
So you did see the clips of the Heat who lost to the Warriors today, kind of melting down along the sideline. And Brooklyn, of course, got its own big news in the NBA today with Kyrie Irving soon becoming a full-time player, with an exception coming out for the Monday in New York. Nets, you would assume, would rise up the standings pretty soon. They did lose tonight to Memphis. So a lot of moving and shaking around the East right now. I did put out some tie-breaking scenarios, and there's a key Bucks 76ers game coming up at the end of this month that could open the door for the Celtics to leap into that top three firmly. They have tiebreakers over all these teams if they take care of business the rest of the way. Not to mention a game next Wednesday, a week from tonight, against the Heat here at the Garden, where the Celtics are going to be able to possibly jump into one-seed positioning in the East. So the dominance that they've played out, as Jaylen talked about there, is starting to translate into actual standing in this league. And 3 days off to come, practice, plenty of time for headlines to emerge as the talk in the post-game pressers went around about satisfaction. Nobody's satisfied in this room. They always feel like they can top themselves, this group. And doing stuff like this was never on the radar for anyone on the offensive end, and being able to humiliate some phenomenal offenses like this. We do throw it back to January, which Ime said in part inspired this game. The amount of threes that the Jazz hit. I thought this was going to bother the Celtics. Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, all the shooting and spacing that the Jazz can throw at you. That's something that projected to bother the Celtics defense, but not tonight. Another elite showing against the Jazz. Marcus Smart in full control as point guard. I asked him about his ascension to that position. Marcus, you've talked this year about point guard being your spot. You give the ball to the point guard, you'll make it happen. What's that process been like of trying to prove it at times to this team and, this coaching staff that that's where you belong? And, how satisfying is it to have a night like this where you're just swinging the ball around and, like, what are you seeing out there that's allowing you to be this effective in that spot?
Just for me, really just, taking what the defense gives me. A lot of teams play me for the pass, and, that's when I have to, become a little selfish and take those shots because 9 times out of 10, it's me that is open. But, really just creating, beating my guy, waiting for the other guy to help up and really setting my team up, especially when my teammates are going, hitting a couple shots early, try to get it back to them and keep them hot. And for me, that's really it as a point guard, finding those guys. And when those guys are, obviously not on or, they're getting a little bit of trouble. On a point guard, you have to take over and do certain things. So the point guard is one of the things to do and play. You have a lot of responsibility. A lot of things is on you. Getting us into the offense, getting us set up defensively, getting guys in position. You got to know all 5 positions, things like that. So the progression, for me, it's been easy. Like I said, because I've been doing it. Others, it might be a surprise, but that's just simply because, unfortunately, you see and people only see the bad things when it comes to certain players, and that's just what it is.
So there it is. It's a story that I think we'll continue to hear more and more about as the season rolls on, but Smart's where he's comfortable. He's looking good doing it, and his teammates trust him. Jaylen saying we trust Marcus, we empower Marcus. 2 guys who I think a lot of people question their bond. Marcus affirming a couple months ago that they're closer than people think. And Brown co-signing the point guard of the Boston Celtics now. All these guys are on the same page. They're all backing each other up. Marcus, after a bad turnover in this game, right before the end of the third quarter, Horford gets back, blocks Rudy Gay. Gay gets the ball back. Tatum blocks him inside on the fast break. Those kind of picking up for each other's mistakes is another encouraging visual out of this game. And Celtics will have some time to go through all the positive film, but I'm sure grill down the negative film. Ime saying that even in these quarters where they allow 20-ish points, they're still going back and finding some things. Even in that 45-point half that the Celtics allowed to begin this game, he saw a few threes that they could have limited to make Utah's first half even more demoralizing for them. And go back and watch this game. The Jazz did not look like they were having fun playing the Celtics, and that's a great team over there on the other side. Another big test coming up Sunday. Timberwolves, second hottest team in the NBA behind the Celtics, coming here. The Garden, Karl Anthony Towns and company. Legit big three that they're boasting out there in Minnesota that I've been super impressed with. Not to mention a shorthanded team that embarrassed the Celtics back in the first half of the season. I'm Bobby Manning. Celtics CLNS will have you covered through that game and into the postseason. CLNS Media, we're on Discord, CLNSmedia.com/Discord. Did some chats there last week, more to come through the end of the week, as well as Twitter Spaces. So follow me at Real Bob Manning and see what's going on. CLNSmedia.com for all the articles. Brown and Tatum playing off each other more, this Marcus Smart story, and just the humiliation that the Celtics have thrown at a couple of teams these last couple of games here. 125-97, that's the final here. Celtics Jazz, TD Garden. Good night.